to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next regular meeting is scheduled for Friday, September the 23rd, 2016 at 9 a.m. here at the Community Center, 3500 Edgewater Drive, Sebring. I have another announcement. At 10:40, we will be taking a recess, if we're not done, for Dick Miller's memorial service, and that is over at the Island View Restaurant. And at 10:40, we'll not adjourn here. We will take a recess and go over for that and then come back and finish whatever we have. Is that not working? You can't hear? Well, it's got to be real close, apparently. You want me to repeat it? Please. Did you get it? I said we're going to take a recess at 10:40 this morning for Dick Miller's memorial service. It's over at the Island View Restaurant. It starts at 11 o'clock. And if we're not done, we will take a recess at 10:40 and then come back after the memorial service and finish up.
At 1?
Whatever time it works out. Okay, I entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any comments from the board? Any public comment for the consent agenda? Chrissy, call the roll, please.
Supervisor Hulbert?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Edgell?
Yes.
Supervisor Camp?
Yes.
President White?
Yes. Okay, move on to the action agenda. Public hearing resolution number 2016-09/09-37A, a resolution for Sun and Lake Sebring Improvement District to establish and adopt a tentative budget for the fiscal year 2017 based on the estimates and revenues and expenditures. I need to entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion from the board. Michael?
No, sir.
Rick?
No.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Any public comment? Back to the board.
President White, I'd like Omar DeJesus, our finance director, to give a small summary of the tentative budget.
Excuse me, I jumped over that. We need to go over it one at a time. I'm sorry. That's my mistake. The first one in it is assessments. I can cover the assessments because they're exactly the same as what they were a year ago. All the assessments were left the same. And this is, 6 years now that they've stayed the same, or 7?
This will be the 8th year.
8th year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But they have stayed the same for 2017. So, discussion on the assessments only. Anything from the public? Okay.
Nope.
Let's move on to the budget summary. Omar, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Good morning, Omar DeJesus, Finance Director. The first section in the budget book and the budget packet. Good morning, Omar DeJesus, Finance Director. The first section we'll be going over is the budget summary. We've provided a summary of all the funds that for the 2016-2017 fiscal year budget. Overall budget for this year, we proposed $12,324,083. We've provided a few graphs on the next couple pages showing the major sources of revenues and income. First is golf. Golf membership revenues, $2.2 million. Food and beverage, $1.2 million. Other income, $79,900, and then transfers, $624, rounding out the total budget of $4,183,340. General fund. All revenues remain the same from 2015-16 fiscal budget to 2016-17. Total revenues is $4,047,550. And utility fund, total revenues $2,303,000. Want to jump into the golf fund and see some of the changes that have transpired from the last budget meeting. There are two major changes that took place. The first was a $12,000 increase in the management fee that will be paid in 16-17 to Billy Casper. And then the other change was a $16,500 overall change. We've felt it was best practice to move some of the capital items into the operating. We decided to move the Bahia grass in the amount of $10,000 to the operating and maintenance for the golf fund. And we also moved the tee markers, I believe, and the fountain because they were under the $5,000 threshold capital requirement per the new contract. So overall was a $12,000 increase change. It was a $12,000 swing from the assessment revenue from $350 to $378,500. That pretty much rounds out the changes for the golf fund. Any questions on the golf?
Was there any reason why we did that? It's just bookkeeping purposes? Or?
Yeah, typically grass, Bahia grass isn't a capital item. It's more of an operating.
I know somebody had brought that up before.
So we felt it was best practice to do it from an accounting standpoint.
Okay.
That would probably be the best bet, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
So next we'll look at the general fund, see what changes took place in there. The majority of the changes in the general fund were affected by the golf fund. So the changes in the capital requirements and the assessment revenues were reflected in the changes in the general fund. We also removed the administrative vehicle for the amount of $28,000. So that's been taken out of the administrative budget. We'll still be trading in the two Ford Explorers that we proposed with the change. We'll be getting the security truck and the Ford dump truck. So we'll be trading in. Going forward, we're just going to kind of do a test trial with the employees and just pay mileage for any training that takes place. Okay. Any questions on the general? No. There were no changes in the utility fund. And in the capital improvement fund, there was a $65,500 reduction in revenue and expenses. We've allocated some extra funds for shelving furniture, security cameras for the new maintenance building, as well as some estimated costs for Duke Energy. We also removed the mechanic lift. The mechanic lift is being proposed in the golf fund capital requirements. So we removed it from the capital project fund budget. And we also reduced our contingency by $70,000, rounding out the total fund proposed budget to $1,790,193.
Okay. You're almost done, I know, but somebody's having a problem hearing you. So if you could, if you could hold the mic a little closer, that would be great. Thank you.
You want me to go back to? Is there anything you guys missed?
Speak louder.
That won't be a problem.
I don't have a problem.
That's fine. Do you want me to go back to anything that you might have missed?
Just talk very close to the microphone.
I'll make sure I talk louder. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. And then we've also provided, as before, the 5-year equipment and maintenance plan. These are some of the capital projects that we have foreseen for over the next 5 years. We've added a funding source line item on where these projects will be funded from.
Okay. Omar, thank you. Back to the board. Mark?
No questions.
Wally?
No, I'm good.
Rick?
I'm fine.
And he's shaking his head. Okay. Public comment.
Bill Jackson, resident. I was wondering about the thing moving it from capital improvement to part of the maintenance fund. Several times we've had come in here and paid a lot of money to have this grass all replaced. I don't know if it was just old or what it was. we went to a lot of money. This seems like this sort of finds a place to slide that money in so we don't recognize it. And we bury it in maintenance fund. And so I assume the budget for the maintenance fund will go up to account for this.
I don't think so, does it?
When we moved it out of capital, it goes into the maintenance fund. It does.
But we didn't change the maintenance fund either, though, did we?
Won't you increase the revenue for the maintenance fund somehow?
It's in the maintenance fund expenses, the Bahia grass.
Right.
We've moved it into to the maintenance department for the golf, yes.
So I assume if you ever get to that point, you're going to have to replace the grass somehow. That's going to be a big expense for the maintenance department. Now, have you increased the income to the maintenance department to cover that?
We didn't need to increase the income because it's a transfer of expenses from one location of the budget to another location of the budget.
Okay.
So that will come out of district funds then?
Can you turn up the microphone to something here? It's not here, it's probably out of there.
Well, what I'm saying is, when you have money transferred around, the money's got to come from somewhere.
In this case, it's coming from the general fund. Both the subsidy monies and the capital costs are coming from the general fund. Okay, so all we've done in the expense side is move the expenses from capital to operating.
So it is coming out of the general fund.
It is coming out of the general fund, yes.
Thank you.
Tom Costi, I might not have been paying close enough attention. Are we in the public hearing, first public hearing on the budget now?
This is the second.
Second.
Oh, online it said, I thought it said first on the online. But in a public hearing, did the first public hearing present the entire budget?
Yes, it did.
So all we're talking about now is changes from the first public hearing.
Changes from the first public hearing and...
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I wasn't here. That's why.
Yeah, when was that night?
Any other public comment? Back to the board.
I'm good.
Okay. Chrissy, call the roll, please.
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Edgel,
Yes.
Supervisor Camp,
Yes.
Supervisor Holbert,
Yes.
President White.
Yes. Okay, public hearing resolution number 2016-09-09-36. And that says A, but I think it's B. No, it does say A, so. A resolution, the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to adopt a water ERU maximum for fiscal year 2017. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Tanya, would you go ahead and explain this to the folks?
Yes. Tanya Kennedy, General Manager. The purpose of this resolution is to add in the current utility rate schedule that clearly identifies a maximum base rate for commercial accounts. Back in 2010, the Board of Supervisors adopted Resolution 10-10 to phase in the ERU. ERU is an equivalent residential unit method of billing, and the phase-in was over a 6-year period. The purpose of the phase-in was to establish a 400, which is equivalent to 1,600,000 gallons of a base rate billing, and that rate was not clearly identified in the rate schedule for the district. And what we're doing here is we're adding this wording into the rate schedule so it's clearly identified that there is a 400 ERU equivalent base rate for commercial accounts.
Okay. Now, this does not change anything in the residential accounts. It's strictly commercial accounts only, and it sets a maximum on it. Comments? Mike?
No.
Anything?
No.
Nope. Okay.
All set.
Wally?
I'm good.
Public comment. Back to the board. Chrissy, call the roll, please.
Supervisor Camp,
Yes.
Supervisor Holbert,
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Edgel,
Yes.
President White.
Yes. Resolution number 2016-09/09-39. A resolution, Sunland Lakes Savory Improvement District, Highlands County, Florida, to modify the Utility Renewal, Replacement, and Improvement Fund. I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Tanya, I'll let you cover that lightly again.
Thank you. Tanya Kennedy, General Manager. In the tentative budget, the board has just approved transferring $536,000 from the utility operating revenue to the URF fund. The URF fund is a utility renewal and replacement improvement fund, and this is like a savings account. And in order to achieve this type of transfer to savings, this resolution, it changes the resolution adopted in 2001. In 2001, the board approved a $7.10 per utility customer per month transfer to the URF. In order to achieve the $536,000 transfer, we need to change that to include the $2.50 increase from last year and then the $2.50 base rate increase this year. That achieves $12.10 per customer per month that will be transferring into the savings account. So this resolution authorizes that transfer. And I gave an example, in my memo of how it's calculated. So, and there will be interest that we will also, add to this account as well.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Comments from the board? Public comment.
We are talking about the URF fund?
Yes. Yes, all this is making sure it goes over into the Euro fund as it comes in.
Well, I know they used to connect it and have it listed on your water bill. And, but I thought that fund was originally created for other purposes. And over the years, the board has just changed what the definition is. And I know there are some limits to what you can do in a water fund because it's an enterprise. And I just wondered, I always thought of that URF fund, when they called it that, was just a slush fund. If you need money, you change the name of the fund to this and take the money out of that. And it sounds like they're just hiding that 710. Instead of putting it in this place, we're going to name it something else and automatically put it in there. Am I wrong on that?
No, all it is we're taking it out of the funds that it comes in to. When we collect it, we simply are moving it over to the fund where it belongs, and that way we can draw interest on it because it's like a savings account.
But is that changing the basic purpose of the URF fund?
Well, the purpose of it is for major improvements to, like the water system, the sewer plant, capital improvements.
I don't think that was the original reason for that URF fund. And that was many, many years ago. And I've always seen that money going there every month, 710 and all that. You can see that going in. But now all of a sudden they've changed it so it's just going to automatically go in. It's going to be part of the water bill. Am I understanding that correctly? It's just going to be part of the water bill and will not be seen.
It's not going to be on the water bill. No, sir. It's not on the water bill.
Okay. How is it going to be collected?
It's through operating revenue. You will not see it on the water bill as a charge. All we're doing is from the monies that we collect from operating revenues, we're going to transfer $12.10 into savings account.
Okay, is that savings account associated with the
That's URIF.
utility fund?
It's the URIF that I speak of.
Talking about your RIFI.
Yes.
Is that associated with the utility fund?
The URIF is recorded and accounted for within the utility fund.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Steele. I didn't understand all of what Bill said, but I think that fund was originally set up for reclamation, new water to use to water the golf course. Right or wrong? Anybody believe that? Well, and the reason I know that because I was chairman of that committee, and it was to be put in special fund, special account, and was to only be used for making reclamation, so we could water the golf course with recycled water, period. And all of a sudden, it disappeared. There was about $3 million in it, with that $7 and some odd cents. And I never heard any more about where it went and so forth and so on. So I hate to admit Bill is right, but he is right. It's probably the first time in 20 years I've probably agreed with anything he said. But so you're telling me that you're taking it and putting it in a savings account for what?
Oh.
And I can't hear over there because I don't have my damn hearing aids in.
Go ahead.
In 2005, 2004, the Board of Supervisors changed the purpose of the Eurofund. So it was changed formally.
You changed it then?
Well, the Board of Supervisors did 10, 11 years ago.
But that
So
but Tanya, that was set up for as a special account and couldn't be used for anything else.
Correct,
period,
but the Board of
except
Supervisors
water.
changed it to be used for whatever purposes they deemed necessary for capital.
Not originally.
Not originally, you're correct, but they did change the purpose of the fund. Okay, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Back to the board.
It's just pretty simple to me that the supervisors changed it. It is what it is now, and that's what it is.
Yes.
I mean, I don't care what it was originally. It's what we do now.
Okay. Chrissy, you want to call the roll?
Supervisor Holbert,
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Edgell,
Yes.
Supervisor Camp,
Yes.
President White.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 2016-09/09-40, a resolution of Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to authorize general manager to enter into negotiations with E.O. Koch Construction, Cook, sorry about that, at the low bidder on REP 1607 for the Public Works facility. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Tanya, you want to cover that? Anything in that?
I believe we've covered, at the last meeting, we talked about the budget of this project, and then, during the tentative budget process earlier, 20 minutes ago, we talked about the budget for this project. So what this resolution does is it authorizes me to negotiate a contract with E.O. Cook and then bring back to the board the draft contract and the bid award at either the next meeting or the first meeting in October.
Okay. For public information, there is a ramp for a dump into a dumpster that the board is trying to get taken out, and it's to the tune of about, what, 30,000, thereabouts? Is that correct?
I don't think it's that much. I think it's maybe around 18, is that correct? 18. Around 20.
Okay. One of the other things that we thought we may be able to take some out is the landscaping and the irrigation for the landscaping, and she's going to see if she can't negotiate part of that out. So that's where this is coming from. Board comment?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I think we can talk about it now, but I think this board is unified, or at least the majority is, to make sure that you know that we want this thing cut every possible way it could be cut. Not just, we can't do it, we can't do this, we can't do that. I mean, it's very important to get it down as much as we possibly can. And I hope that fellow supervisors might reiterate that with my feelings, because I don't exactly know, but just from comments at the last meetings that we want, we really want you to make sure that it's done as best as you possibly can.
Understood.
Yes. I don't know where to start. At the last meeting, I certainly voiced my thoughts on the maintenance facility. We certainly need this desperately. As Mike said, I think we all realize the value of it. We need to protect the equipment we have an investment in and so on. I still have some reservation about the approach that we're taking on some of these things, and I'm a little bit afraid that we're so far into this project that it's kind of hard to turn back and change a lot of it. I looked through, I didn't get a statement of values, and I'm not sure if you got the statement of values to understand how the comparisons of the different bidders showed up. Okay? Did you get a statement of comparison?
I did.
Okay,
Yes, I did.
Thank you. So I'm sure you went through that with a fine-tooth comb. I also know that Coke said that they had missed an addendum and were gracious enough to extend a bid of the $1.6 million, kind of overlooking that. And we discussed a little bit about the landscape. That's clearly something I'm sure we can look at. I know that you removed some of part of the contingency, changed the contingency, cut that by $70,000, $80,000.
That was my internal budget contingency.
Right. But it's the overall project of $1.8 million that I'm looking
Correct,
at. Okay?
yes.
And, where some of my concerns is I don't think landscaping, taking $20,000, $25,000 out of landscaping is going to really make a big dent in this project. Has anybody looked at maybe, just maybe, thinking about the internal construction of the complex so that we don't have maybe as larger offices, as many restrooms? I know that the last meeting, we're combining two organizations together here, and the point was brought up that, well, there's 38 people in there, we need to have facilities for them. I agree we need to have facilities. I'm not sure that I've ever seen 38 people at any one time in those facilities. I don't think they come out off the course and go in there to utilize the facilities, but I might be totally wrong on that. I just haven't seen it. The other part that I have a little concern is with the move. There's a tremendous amount of work that's been put into this move. I know Mike's been working diligently with all of the different vendors. We talked about this temporary housing is going to be in front of the tennis courts, and I guess we're getting, and I'm still trying to figure exactly what they are, buildings that we're going to have, and then potentially we can turn them back in and get some of that money. And the numbers were somewhere around $30,000, therefore we would get $15,000 back. That was based on, I think, the fact that the vendor who would be providing them to us could turn around and resell them to another person. If they can't, we're going to have that extra equipment, okay? We can always use storage. I don't know what kind of storage these are. I don't know if they're open canopy types.
We were going to provide the board all those details. We haven't done so yet because we haven't ordered or done anything with those. We can provide you pictures and information about what we're looking into.
Well, it makes it very difficult for someone to turn around and say, put their stamp of approval on it. I want the approval for you to negotiate, but I'm trying to understand where you think you can cut besides landscaping.
The building, I don't know if I have it in front of me. Building B, we've discussed that internally. Building B is the pole barn.
Building, the pole barn. Do we have a layout, just out of curiosity? And I'm just trying to understand this whole project. I mean, we did, for the signs, the outside signs, which was $250,000 or $275,000, we had 7 meetings on it, a total of 7 meetings. Thus far, on this project, which is, $1.4 million, $1.5 million originally, we've had 3 meetings at the very beginning, and now, in the last couple of weeks, 2 months, we've had 2 meetings. I think it's a pretty big project. We should be discussing it. We have things like, and I don't know the answers to these, I'm just asking. We're getting a new lift that was in the budget for $15,000. We had a little bit of discussion about the old lift being brought over, and we removed that $7,000 or $7,500 from the project. Is the new lift that we're buying, other than the fact that it's new, is it better, bigger, stronger than the existing lift we have? Is there a way we might be able to utilize, instead of spending the $15,000, take a piece of equipment that we have that's already paid for and put that back in the facility?
Mark, that lift is in the golf budget. It is not in this budget, not in this building thing.
Right, it's in the golf budget to purchase the $15,000.
There is no lift in this building.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm saying that the lift, I'm just trying to understand why even in the golf budget was the lift for $15,000 in there when we had an existing lift that we could put in. It's not new, it's not pretty, but why couldn't we do that?
I think Mike can answer that better than anybody else, but that lift is pretty well wore out.
Right, exactly.
That's all I needed to know.
The new lift that David Bell wanted to order, we can put much more equipment on it. What we have now, it's basically set up for certain, just certain equipment. This will be able to use it for some vehicles and everything. So, okay. I mean, it's a much better lift. We aren't throwing the old one away or anything. I mean, the old one's going to be used in temporary business for the temporary area until we're done with it.
Right, and I remember you saying that, and
everything that we've been ordering, we've been thinking down the road, and we're trying to get as much use out of it for everybody, for both departments. Mm-hmm. So when we looked at that lift, that's what we looked at. Okay.
And so somebody's going to be providing us diagrams of the layout, the footprint, where we plan on putting this various types of equipment, yes, and form factor for there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. When, just out of curiosity.
Whenever you want to meet Mark, I mean, I've met with, I think, everybody else kind of the footprint that we have right now. So whenever you want to come in, you and I go through the whole thing.
Okay, fine.
And I'll even show you the buildings. We've got prices. You know what Quonset hut is? I assume you...
I really don't.
The old Army Quonset huts. We've got prices from Quonset huts to metal buildings. Kind of like the big RVs that you see around here, right? We've got prices from Quonset hut to that type of building. The Quonset huts were $60,000 or $70,000 just to get what we needed. What we did was we went, so we've got prices from $60,000 or $70,000 to all the way down to $35,000, and that's how much work we put into this. So I mean, we're watching every penny we spend. Now, hopefully, when we're done, the building's done, we can resell those buildings back. So,
There's no doubt that you're putting a tremendous amount of work into this, and I'm not suggesting that you're not. I didn't know, you talk about these Quonset huts, and bear with me, I've seen some that are totally open, some that have sides that are of a material of fabric. I've seen some that are like a carport, but the second part of it, or the last half, is an enclosed type of storage. And that's what I'm trying to get a vision for.
We will have one of those.
Okay.
A carport would,
And these, I assume, are like 60, 70 feet?
yes.
Yeah.
I'll give you all the measurements and everything we have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We'll provide all that to the board. We wanted to get through this budget process before we did any further work, or ordering of this nature.
Mark, I will mention one thing that you mentioned it come up 3 times. It's probably come up an additional 8 times in the last 2 years. We've been working on this for 2 years in the board meetings. I don't know if you remember or not, but one of the first things that came out was the driveway was going to be moved down so it was even with the street where Howard lives, and we decided not to do that.
That was in January 2015.
Yeah. But there has been several meetings on this, and we went over the building itself many, many times, and we finally come to this point.
Okay.
And the bathrooms I know are bigger than what they need, what they possibly might need right now. I know when Gator laid everything out, and Mike can verify this, that he laid it out for 15 to 20 to 25 years from now, that you don't have to go back in and try to rework the interior of a building and spend a ton of money on it. That's how Gator set the whole project up, trying to lay it out so it will be there for 40 years and not have to mess with it.
Okay, thank you.
Wally?
Yeah, I just have a couple of things I want to mention on this. I'm in favor of the building. I've studied the blueprints, been over all that, and I'm in favor of it. I know we need it. My first thought is we got to get it cheaper. So whatever you can do, Tanya, to bring that price down. We've talked to people about it. One time it was 1.4, now it's 1.6, and now 1.8. I know once you get into these buildings, anybody's built a building. I built a couple of courthouses, and I can tell you change orders will kill you. So make sure we got everything up front so we don't have any change orders once they start work. In that contract, I'd like to also see some type of time restraints put on it. They have so many days to complete the process, and I just added a room onto my house, and it was 4 to 6 weeks, and it took 6 months. So I know what I'm talking about there. So I need to have that in there, and a procedure for change orders also set up in that contract. That if we come up with something we want to see changed, or they do, there'll be an official procedure to go through to do those. And I'll be here to vote on that contract, but I'd like to see it so I can take it home and study it. I went over the last contract we signed, and we're all still paying for it, so I'd like to make sure we get this one correct.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Rick?
Well, the 1.4 to 1.8 is kind of fictitious. The 1.4 to 1.6 is really the true push. The other 200,000 is what we have to do to move things around to facilitate our people until the new building is put up. And then, so that was kind of an add-on that we didn't show in the original bid.
It's not part of the property or the building that I'm not really saying that the building has increased considerably. I'm saying the whole overall project has increased considerably.
Yes.
From what the expectations set were in January 2015 and then February when they came out with the revised plan, or actually it was March. And Tanya did a great job in reducing this contingency. I don't know if that's going to come back to, get us, because all of a sudden, if we need that extra money, it's going to have to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can change those numbers.
I'm just saying that we're trying everything we can to provide us with a facility now that is the facility we have right now is so dilapidated and old, and we're surprised that we haven't been in trouble before now with the fuel tanks the way they are, to the water system, to everything over there, that we've got to get it cleaned up and get it taken care of right away.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the $200,000 for the transition, I would have thought that would have been put in the original plans. I mean, I talked to Mike about this after he gave me the drawings to go over and so forth. What's your transition plan and so forth like that? That's what I'm saying, Rick. I agree with you. It's $200,000 above the 1.4 or 1.6, but to go to 1.8. But I just thought that would have been put in up front part of the plan. It wasn't. Fine. You can't have them wait outside under trees until it's built. I understand that. And so we can, I understand that. I just know that these numbers keep going up. And as the people talk about it, they say, well, okay, you're 1.8, now what's going to be 2.6 when we're done? So that's why I just want to keep an eye on that. Just that number, you know.
I have to agree. I would like to see this cut as much as we can cut it. I do trust you, Tanya, to do everything that you can to do it. I know we need the building. One of the problems here is we've been 2 years debating it, and the longer it goes, the more money it's costing. And I think Mike will verify that. Between January and March, I think it went up 18%. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the contractors have got a lot busier. When we first started that, they weren't doing anything. So that's basically all I have for it. I will turn it over for public comment.
Bill Jackson, resident. We count on the board and the district offices to take care of things for us. When I heard this thing had gone up from 104 to 108, I was sort of shocked, and because it does nothing but go up. Now I hear these board members sitting here and the office sitting here. Well, we're going to do this. It's not done till it's put on paper and everyone can see it. What I've seen this morning is a fiasco. They're going to build approximately a $2 million building, and if anyone thinks it's going to come in at 1.8, they're out of their mind. I anticipated a year ago it would be over $2 million. But this is a fiasco, and then we always get the old Sun and Lake thing. Well, we got to get it done now. The world's going to fall. The sky's falling on us. We don't have to get it done now. That stuff's been sitting out there a long time. What we should do is get it done right. Are we guaranteed this whole thing is going to be built for $1.8 million? Or are they going to come back later and they're going to say, well, we need another $200,000 for this? This is not done until everything that's going to cost us money has been put in on a plan, and everyone on this board and anyone who wants to see it can read it. I would suggest they put this on hold, because we don't know what we're doing. Who's going to negotiate it? A very good financial officer. But is that the person you need to negotiate in this? I've been talking a long time about getting an engineer in here, a construction engineer. We got all these projects we got going. We don't have anyone who knows anything about it. This is a fiasco. And I'm just going to say now, less than a year from now, you're going to come back and want more money. Oh, we forgot about this. We forgot about that. And that's the way it's going to be. It's always been that way in here. Because we don't have the right people to get this job done by an engineer who's built buildings and knows about this and can sit down and discuss this and tell you what we need, because he's went through this hurrah before. I object to this thing when the whole thing has just got to be done now. Put it on hold. let's get this straightened out, and let's know where every dollar is going to go on this, not just what someone says and this and yes and this, where it's written on paper, on plans, and we all can look at it and know what it's all going to cost. Because if not, you're going to... No, don't interrupt me. I'll be done in a second.
Wait a minute.
No.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How long do you think we've been working on this?
I don't care how long you've been working on it. Right now, it's a fiasco. I don't care if you've had 10 years into it. No one knows what they're talking about. And that's all I've got to say. But when it comes time later, when they want more money, a couple $100,000 more or more, I'm just going to sit up there and say, I told you so. And that's going to happen. Nothing ever comes in on budget here. So you just do what you want to do. I know Mr. Edgell's all excited about this. But I'm just telling you, this is not going to work. And I want to thank Mr. Camp. We had this $400,000 increase, and he's the only supervisor I heard who had anything to say about this. I think everyone, you should have an apple when you heard it was going to be $400,000 more. And Mr. Camp went into it and asked questions. No one else did. That's what we need here. Every one of you asking questions like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else? Back to the board. Chrissy, call the roll, please.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Edgell?
Yes.
Supervisor Camp?
Yes.
Supervisor Holbert?
Yes.
President White?
Yes. Okay, resolution number 2016-0909-41, a resolution for Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to award a RFP 1608 wastewater treatment plant blower installation and electrical work project to Dalen Real Estate Development Company for $133,721. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Tanya, you want to explain that a little bit?
Yes, I'm going to have Omar De Jesus discuss this with the board.
Okay.
Omar De Jesus, Finance Director. This memo just is awarding the bid to Dalen for RFP number 16-08 for the Unit 23 blower installation and electrical work. We have the blower sitting on site. We put this RFP. We had 3 bids come in, ranging from $133,000 to $200,000. Dalen came in the lowest. Poston Engineering has provided a letter of recommendation stating that they feel comfortable with Dalen installing and doing the electrical work. This is just our recommendation, wanting to grant Dalen to go ahead and move forward and get these blowers installed. It's kind of a project that's been sitting on hold for the utility and the wastewater plant. We've had trouble with the blowers in the past. This is kind of one of the repairs that has been on hold and needs to be taken care of now, and we shouldn't have to go back and mess with it for quite some time. Have any questions?
Okay. Questions for Omar?
I just have a question.
Yep.
I'm not sure it should be directed to you, Omar, but I always have a question. In the letter from Polson Engineering, it says, to the best of my knowledge, all 3 bidders are qualified to do the work. Have we verified that?
We have. We've requested additional information from Polson on how we're going to be supervising. Polson has verified that they will have either Marvin or Dale Polson himself go out and weekly and verify that the work's being done to code and done correctly.
Okay.
Daily. They're going to be going out there daily.
Thank you.
Oh, daily, okay.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? Public comment? Back to the board. Chrissy?
Supervisor Edgel,
Yes.
Supervisor Camp,
Yes.
Supervisor Holbert,
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
and President White.
Yes. Are there any add-on items?
None.
Okay. Petitions and communications. We have one from Marmer Construction. Go ahead and address that if you would, Tanya.
Is Brian here? Brian?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
We don't need a motion for that. I'm sorry.
We have a request from Armor Construction. Brian Radonsky is here, and if you have any questions, but this is to request a variance for a fourplex construction, and the address is at 5361 Pebble Beach Drive. Marmor Construction has provided you the layout of the fiveplex that was denied by the county, and now the new fourplex. And the variance request is to request in our code enforcement, we have a 30% prepared surface rule for the driveways. And with this construction of the fourplex, it's going to be about 45%. Is that correct? 45. 48.6. Brian is here on behalf of his client, and this construction will generate $3,000 in assessments per year. This is a golf course property, and the board they have approved a variance in the past in 2014 to a residential home a person who wanted to expand his driveway. So the board has granted a variance in the past.
It's my understanding with all of the duplexes and the triplexes and the quads that we have out, most of them have more than a 30% driveway, and most of them have been grandfathered in, I take it. I think when the thing was set up, it was set up for residential, not necessarily for any type of a duplex. So Tanya has taken that into consideration. So if you would like to speak on that a little bit, why?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, we're at 48.6% right now. We're trying to get it down a little more. Like Tanya said, we've already cut from a fiveplex to a fourplex, which has already been approved by the building department and zoning. Gator turned it down because there wasn't ample parking with our design, and he's understanding of y'all's troubles and parking in the right of way and the calls that you guys get. So the engineering department said a fourplex would work. They've approved the site plan. We're just trying to get around this last deal. Our clients are fine with going to a fourplex, but I don't know if they would keep going if we had to cut it anymore.
Good.
Okay.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Mike, I've been over to look at that lot, and do you have any problems with this?
No.
Okay.
Not with this plan he has now. I did have a problem with the 5, but the 4 he's done a real good job with it.
Good. Well, that's it, Brian. Like I say, I've been over where that lot is. I can see that sitting there. There's duplexes across the street from it. It's, the parking's been hasn't seemed to be any problem or anything like that. And I'm going to vote to pass this. I'll guarantee it. I just hope you come back 20 more times.
I'll
okay.
come back as many times
All
as
right.
allow me.
Okay. Mike, anything?
Yeah, I agree. I've looked at it a couple of times. When I first heard about it, I thought it was going to be between Greg Long and Bob Butts' house. I had some problem there, but I see no problem for it. Like I said, I hope this continues. I'd like to see development around the...
Larry, he's also going to match match the driveways with pavers also, so it's gonna match the whole neighborhood, so it's gonna actually look pretty good.
Well, we said we would do that if that was a request of the board. Right now, the client has concrete going in, but if that was something that would help you guys or something you want, we would do that.
That would look very nice. Rick, you got any comment?
Is the neighborhood mostly pavers?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then I think we should stick with that theme for the neighborhood rather than concrete.
It is, and the new house is being built there, but Bob, it's going to be the same thing. Of course, that's the one up the street. It's one up there a good bit, but still, someone's...
Do you own the next group around the corner there?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, because I see there's another little area.
The only one we're tied to is the lot we have cleared currently that we're proposing as fourplex.
Okay.
But the customers we do have, if this goes all right, they're interested in doing more out here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, I really don't have a problem with it either. I'm going to look at it for a long time because I live across the fairway from you. So I'm going to look at the back side of it for a long time.
No.
Tom, do you have a comment? Question.
Tom Costi, resident. My question is this: that whole area, I think there's about maybe 400 lots in that whole area on that side of the golf course, is zoned for multifamily.
Right.
That does allow individual units, individual homes to be put in there. For instance, the Longs put, I think, the first house that's in that area up. And I believe they've got a concrete driveway. They don't have a paver, if that's what was being discussed here. But my question is this with regard to, it goes back to that 30% rule. Have we finally defined how to calculate 30%? Because this seems to be coming up quite frequently. Last time we discussed it, we even got to the point where it was stated on the board during discussion that we'll just quit allowing circular driveways anymore because that takes up so much of the front yard. We didn't get that as part of the resolution that was passed, but have we got a good definition of the front yard yet? And could somebody please tell me about it? Larry, could you describe what the front yard definition is?
You've brought this up before, and I can't describe it for you. I don't know exactly how it's worded in the
Anybody else? Tell me. Tanya, can you define the front yard?
It's defined in the actual, I think it's 1.02 or 1-02, 102. It's defined right there.
Could you explain it to me?
I don't have it in front of me, but I can see if I can pull it up.
When this came up with a home that was expanding their driveway in Manor Hill a year or so ago, there were 3 different calculations done by Polston for what comprised the front yard of the house. Mm-hmm. There's terms like the front line of the house. What does the front line of the house mean? That's in that ordinance. The front line of the house. Can anybody tell me what the front line of the house is?
Well, we had talked about this one time before, and that was one of those things I was going to talk to you about. I would speculate the front line of that house will be from corner to corner and 90 degrees.
Well, some of the front lines of the house are not straight across.
Right,
I mean,
exactly
the
right.
left side of the house is closer to the road than the right side of the house. Some of the garages are forward of the house. There was one definition that was discussed by our code enforcement department that it's anything forward of the front door, which in that case it put the garage floor forward of the front door in an L-shaped house where the garage is closer to the road. That was concrete, so that came out. Does the front yard include the right-of-way that's not owned by the owner? It's a different calculation if you include that right-of-way in the front yard versus the other. And this has come up, and it continues to come up. And the reason I bring it up is that I'm on the Manor Hill Owners Association board, and we try to approve or disapprove plans that are given to us for the entire structure when a new house is going to be built. we try to guide people into staying out of trouble with the district, but we still don't have a clear understanding of what is the front yard. Can somebody please define the front yard to me? We've been talking about this for several years now.
Yeah.
Mr. Costi?
I can read to you.
Go ahead.
Oh, you have it?
No.
I could
If
read
you-
the paragraph to you, but I'm not sure I understand
Exactly.
it. So, I mean, if you wish, I'd be more than happy to do that. It says front yard means the front yard is a space on a lot extending the full width of the lot and situated between the street line and the front line of the main structure on the lot. However, where a lot is located on the intersection of two or more streets, the front yard shall, in addition, include the space on the lot extending the full width and length of the lot and situated between the street and the sideline of the main structure on the lot.
I guess the main structure answers that question.
I was going to say.
About the garage or L shapes and so forth.
The street line, can you describe that to me? What the street line? The street line, tell me, well, the front line of the house. So that is not necessarily a straight line. Is that correct?
That's right. I'd say not.
Okay.
I'd say not.
And then the street line, does the street line mean the edge of the pavement or the edge of the right-of-way?
I don't know. Does it have that in there?
Nope, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
There's a considerable amount of square footage there, and it can make the difference of approval or not approval.
So
Anyway,
square foot out there.
Well, how about this? Why don't we put this on the agenda for next time and study this and come up with it?
If you'd like me to do a memo on it, I'll be happy to do a memo on it.
That's great.
That'd be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Come
good.
back.
Thank you.
Any more public discussion? Rick, you were for it?
Yeah.
Mike?
Real quick, gentlemen, it says the letter, the current plan, I think the plan that's shown in the thing is at 48.6%, or 48.5, 48.6. It said they could possibly bring it down to 45. So if we're going to, I don't know if you guys want to just have a consent that it's okay as drawn, or if you want it reduced to the 45 and whether or not the pavers issue needs to be addressed. So if we're going to do a consent vote, we need to figure out what we're consenting on. So let's figure out what you'd like to approve, and then we can do a consent vote.
Gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion that we consent to the 45% and the pavers, and with added to the original request.
How about the 48.6 in case they can't change it?
Well,
I mean, if he can't change it, it's...
Well, and there's another thing too, is we'll be setting a standard here.
Yeah.
So we better get it done.
Well, there's been lots of discussion about that. There's no precedence here. I mean, if we're going to grant a variance, we can grant a variance as requested. And while what's been granted in the past should always be considered, this isn't court. You guys aren't bound by jurisdictional rules to follow case law.
This is a single instance till the next one comes out.
Yeah.
So that's why it's trying to set some type of standard. Brian?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can make every attempt, but it is going to take some redesign. And the thing we're battling now is the roof line's already done and the trusses are done.
Yeah, I think
we'll
50.
do what we have to do. I mean, we appreciate you guys looking at it.
Yeah. I think 50 would be good.
Yeah, that's
Do 50.
okay. How about 50 and pavers?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
What's that?
We're moving up to 50% in pavers.
That's great. Thank you.
How's that?
We appreciate it.
By the way, I almost bought that lot.
All right, so just for the record, we've consented to a maximum of 50% and as long as pavers are used.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be
Okay.
great. Is that all right with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we agree to it. Staff report. Tennille?
Right here. I'm here.
I'm looking the other way. Sorry about that.
Good morning, Tennille Drury Smith, Community Services Director. I just wanted to take a moment to go over summer camp that we completed the end of the first week in August, and then go over some upcoming events. Summer camp, we had another successful summer. We brought in a little under $14,000. We saw a total of 226 kids over the 8 weeks,
And it was a great summer. This is our third summer running full-time, and we hope to do it going forward. So coming up in October, we have our annual Trick or Trot. And in the past, I think the first year we did the run and the festival on the same day, and we discovered it was a little overwhelming, so we split the run and the festival on 2 different days. This year, with Halloween being on Monday and trick-or-treating for Sebring is recognized on Saturday the 29th, we're going to do the festival on Monday, October 31st, and then we're going to do the run on Friday, October 28th. It still is run under the same budget. They're essentially 2 separate events, but it's run under the same Fall Festival / 5K budget. We did this last year, and it went over very well. So we do need lots of volunteers. So if anyone's interested in volunteering, please contact myself or Jonathan at the Rec Complex. And hopefully, we've had, in the past, we've had 600 runners for the 5K, and we've had 1,200 plus for the festival. So we're hoping to see those same kind of numbers this year. Okay. And then on Monday, Mike Hurley informed me that we will be set to open the restrooms at the Racket Club. So that was been long awaited, and we're all excited. Those will officially be complete.
Grand opening.
Yeah.
Ribbon cutting, huh?
Yes. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any other staff reports, was there? General Counsel?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. Went to a tax deed sale, I believe it was yesterday, maybe Wednesday. And there was the district had 2 properties that were up for tax deed sale. They did both sell. There was heavy bidding, so there was, hopefully that's showing an upswing here at what's going on residentially. So the district should be, those properties are under district foreclosures. Those foreclosures will be concluded, and we're just going through the process to get the district's funds from the tax deed sale. On the Ayala matter, we still do not have a ruling from the judge. We got a letter from Roper & Roper saying that we're expecting that soon, listing there was some, Judge Cowden, the judge that oversaw that hearing while Judge Radin was sick, has had a lot of stuff going on during election time, and so hopefully we'll be getting a ruling from her on that. And the letter suggested that if it's an unfavorable ruling, that they will be appealing. So,
okay. Thank you, David. General Manager's report.
Just a few items. The district will be cutting a check to Highlands County in the amount of $100,000 as a contribution towards the EMS fire station on Sun Lake Boulevard. The county is trying to organize a photo opportunity for all of us to be there on September 23rd between 8 o'clock, 8:15 or so to take a picture. So we're very excited about this contribution, and we look forward to the final site plans being finished for the station. I do have the plans. They're not final, but they are close to being final. They are in my office if anyone would like to take a look at the plans for this station. Of course, it's going to be constructed and by Highlands County. They're going to put it out for bid, and I'm not sure about the other fire stations as well, but I do know that this one, it's been a long time coming. Yesterday, myself and staff and Mr. Kurtzborn and Dan Stiegel, we met with Kurt Olson. Kurt Olson he has a business for Florida Forestry and Environmental Services. Mr. Olson was involved with his background. He was involved with the construction of Turtle Run Golf Course. He is our consultant that we have used in the past many times as an environmentalist. And we rode the golf course. We talked to him about certain areas, and I know based on burning schedules and some other conservation areas, we talked about that as well. But we looked at the exotic invasive species on Turtle Run, some of the vines, some of the other plants, and we just wanted to know a little bit more about it. It was the purpose of the meeting. So I was very excited to be out on the course yesterday and talking about the scrub jay habitat. Now, there's technically, I guess, only one area that the scrub jays have been seen. And just for the board's knowledge, the Turtle Run Golf Course is part of a scrub jay habitat conservation area, okay? And there, to maintain it, maintain the exotics, doesn't necessarily mean that the scrub jays will come back to certain areas. But I think, over the years, that area, there's only one part of the golf course that technically the scrub jays like to be in. And there are other conservation areas to the north of Turtle Run as well that we need to look into possibly doing some maintenance there as well, because we're on the 10-year schedule, so we'll be the district will be looking into that as well. And I will give a full project update at the next board meeting, so that's all I have today.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished business? None? New business?
None.
Okay. Any committee reports?
None.
Okay. Public comment? Already talked? Go ahead, sir. Please introduce yourself before you start.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Herb Willie. I've been a homeowner here since 2005 on Needham Street and a resident since 2008. My concern is the fact that it's a culvert on the back of my property between Matanza and Nita. When I first moved here, it was like only 2 feet across. You can step across it. And now the erosion's become so bad, it's like 5 feet. And there's cables that are being exposed, and sprinkler systems are being exposed because of the erosion from that culvert. I spoke with Mike Curley. He came to my home and viewed the problem. I'd like to see something done to correct it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mike, have you looked at the area?
Yeah, you want to wait till I think you got a couple minutes. Okay.
My name is John Ash. I'm a resident. I back on kitty corner to Herb's house, and we built our home about 30 years ago, and when we built it, the culvert or the runoff at the back of the house was just an area that I could cut the grass. And now when we get a lot of rains, it flows very, very quickly, and it's eroding the banks on both sides of the creek. We're losing footage, and it's dangerous. There's a lot of children in the area, and when we have those really big rainstorms, that thing flows. If a young child got into it, it would take them down to down to Cortez and get trapped under the road there. It's a problem that's getting worse.
Okay.
And we had people out. I had people out about 5 or 6 years ago. They were thinking about putting a pipe in there, but nothing ever happened about it.
Okay. We'll take a look at it.
You said Matanzas and... Okay.
Okay.
Morning, Larry Bertetto.
Good morning.
Glad you're discussing that building. I guess it bothers me when we go from $1.4 million to $1.8 million, and it'll probably cost $2 million when we're done based upon our past history. And apparently you gentlemen have not seen any of the plans on it?
Yes.
No, we've all seen them. We've seen all the plans.
Because the impression was that you didn't see it.
Oh, no, we've seen them all.
And, when you got $1.8 million and you're going to cut $20,000 out of it for landscaping, that doesn't mean very much to me. Now, it's just, where does it all stop? The other thing, and Ms. Kennedy mentioned the fact she rode the golf course. Quite some time ago, when we took over, or the district made the changes when Michael Wright was here, that on Turtle Run, that was going to be no longer the Nature Conservatory or whatever it is by my house. And of course, I've had over the years, I've had many dealings with Mr. Olson, and other people paid him upwards between $600 and $1,200 to clean out vines in their yard because we didn't know how to cut a vine. Quite some time ago, the area behind my house and the golf course was cleaned out by the district. The vines were eliminated, things were cut back, and I could see the golf course. Now I'm going to pay $60-some a year to live on the golf course. It looks like hell out there. The vines are all there. No one's done anything. Why? Yeah. Who's in charge of this place? You know, do residents have to come to a board meeting and tell something's wrong, or do we have people that look around and do something? I think we have to be very proactive here, and I don't see where we are. I don't see, to be honest with you, the board's too proactive other than one person.
I was out on it yesterday, and that's one of the things we discussed yesterday was going back in and killing the vines, because we've got lots of vines started, and they have no value of any kind. And
Did we have to pay Kurt Olson to tell us that?
We had him here for a lot of other reasons. He was here to kind of describe what he was looking for, or what we could do to improve things, or what we could do with the area, because we didn't know exactly what we could do, and he went over that in detail with us.
Could you submit a copy of that report when it's all finished to me, please?
He's not going to give us a written report. What we are going to do as a district is we're going to establish a maintenance plan.
Pardon me?
We as a district are going to establish a maintenance plan for Turtle Run. We looked to him for guidance yesterday, is what we did.
You know, I think you need to be real active on that, because if you're going to spend money to get people to come in here and you look at some of this stuff, you know, as a matter of fact, on Angelo Circle, with the number of deaths we had, of 7 deaths out of 20 houses, there's going to be houses up for sale, and they're not moving. Why? Because it doesn't look good. I think you need to start thinking about that.
Okay. Thank you, Larry.
My name is Jim Jennings. I live on Matanzas, on the other side, on the south side of Matanzas Drive, and that's between Matanzas and Granada. And we have a problem with accumulation of water in the drainage ditch. I guess that's what they call them. It's a drainage ditch between the homes that run all the way down there. The problem is that the runoff from the flood area that's just east of Lido runs through a pipe and runs into that drainage ditch of ours. And it so happens that at the end of the drainage ditch, all the way down at Cortez, the last 4 houses down there have somehow or other filled in their property and covered up the drainage ditch. And so the water has no place to go, so it all sits there. And I know behind our house, we've been unable to cut the weeds and grass in the drainage ditch, and they're currently up to probably up to my waist, weeds and things in there right now. And we can't cut them because it's full of water in there. And that water sits there for a long period of time because it has to sink into the ground. And of course, sinking into the ground now, the ground is getting saturated underneath our homes and everything like that. So anytime we get a heavy rain, like I get an infestation of ants that come up, and I've got the people out there from the Bugs Beware or whatever, and he says that it's because the water level's coming up underneath the homes and chasing the ants up through not the concrete, but in between the concrete and the foundation. So anyway, and I also read a little thing this morning, I think yesterday morning, that said we've got the Zika virus in the mosquitoes about 200 miles south of us. And I'm just curious about how long that would take for it to get to Matanzas Drive. I'm really concerned about it.
Okay. I know we're going to look into that area there behind Matanzas, so we'll see what we can come up with and see if there's a fix for it. So,
President White, we do have an active mosquito program here in the district. Also, the county has received a grant to distribute mosquito pellets in Highlands County, and the district office will be a distribution center as soon as the county gets those pellets, delivered. It should be in a couple weeks, but I'll let you know as soon as we do have that available for distribution. So we're going to allow, the county's going to do the press release in the addresses and the locations of where all the pellets can be picked up by the public, and they're free.
That's good. Okay, thank you. Any more public comment?
Larry,
go ahead.
can I say something?
Yes.
I've met with all the residents here, and they're absolutely right. We have to start addressing this. I've talked to Tanya about it. We are going to come up with a plan in their area. We have 6 areas that I think are very important, and we are going to be come up with a plan to start fixing some of this. I mean, they've been told for years, and they're absolutely right. Every house that I go to, I went with Wally to one house, I think it was Monday, and everyone has told us the same story. You told me that 6 years ago. You told me that 6 years ago. I don't want to be sitting up here next year and having them come back, so we are going to start a plan. A lot of it's handwork that we have to start, but we will be starting something, just so you know.
Have we got
I've been working with Tanya. Every morning I go in and tell her. She probably hates to see me walking that office, but...
Have we got some culverts down there that are partially plugged up? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's many, many problems, but we have to start, and, and I think that they deserve
I agree.
for us to address it.
I know we've talked about getting that pumper unit in to clean out some of those culverts, so.
Well, we're working on that too. Omar's been working on pricing, and so within a few weeks, we hope to be much further down the road.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Let me make another point on that too, and that is that these people have filled in the areas where the culvert was, and it's not very clear to anybody, not to me, or sort of clear to Mike, what the easement is. Because the county, I have maps here that I brought with me. I have a map from the Highlands County Property Appraiser. They have an interactive map on the internet. And I don't know what year this is from. It's fairly recent. And it shows that culvert, for example, on there, right where right now it's all filled in and the guy's moved his fence back over there. So it used to be a culvert there because it has to come all the way down there and then across on Alito, or whatever, on Cortez. Yeah. Comes alongside the street, goes back under Matanzas Drive, and then comes into the big dump that goes out to the west. So I don't know how it's not very clear about the easement. I wasn't aware that there was an easement back there. I've seen 2 houses for sale down there, and the property stakes are right in the middle of the culvert.
Right.
Okay.
On the easement.
We'll get somebody down there to take a look.
I make a comment too. I've actually toured the whole area of Sun and Lakes with Mike, way up in the back, but clearly there's a major drainage issue within the district here, and it certainly is necessary for us to put a plan together, which is great. I'm glad you guys are doing it, to start in each section, because the problem is getting worse every year. It's not going to get better. It's getting, and I hate to say it, but $250,000 a year is allocated every year towards drainage for the next 5 years. I don't think $250,000 is going to put much of a dent in any of this. We need to increase maybe that area and look at other areas when we might be able to reduce some of the costs so we can balance out a budget. But $200,000 or $250,000 will just probably keep us above water in the real problem areas. So, just my thoughts.
Okay. Anything else? Adjourn.
Wow.
Can we get Mike?
No, I thought. I didn't know this was.
Wow.